In Washington, ghost-like objects dart across the radar screen at the CAA Traffic Control Center at National Airport for several hours, traveling more than 100 miles an hour. Air Force jet fighters spend several hours chasing the objects plotted on the radar scope.
Something else is out there.
There's something else out there, okay.
Of all the banks and braes of bonny Scotland, none holds more fascination than the murky waters of Loch Ness.
Tell me, do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
No, he seems definite. You seem
Definitely.
definite about it. How do you see this life and where?
Oh, I've seen a flying saucer.
Blackwater Media presents Darkfall. Real-life encounters with the paranormal and the unexplained. A couple of months ago, two friends and I were out cold weather camping in Newton, Illinois on their property. I remember that there was a nice clear sky and a bright 3/4 moon. We almost didn't need flashlights at all. And even though there were coyotes in the area, and if you don't know, they're thick as thieves out there, so it's not uncommon to hear them pretty close. Well, we just finished eating and were small talking around the fire when we started hearing howls. We were listening to what seemed like 3 different ones. They were going back and forth for about 20 minutes, and it seemed like they were a couple of 100 yards apart. We all commented on how loud they were and decided maybe it was time to get some shut-eye. Now, one of my friends jumped into his tent. He has a problem with his immune system, so he gets sick easily. I didn't have the heart to tell him he couldn't tag along, so we pretty much buried him under a ton of blankets. And we just crawled into our sleeping bags at the fire and stargazed a bit. Now the howls started getting closer, and we could hear some coyotes also running around and yipping at each other out in the field nearby. Not a big deal. We all take firearms out there with us for protection because the coyotes have recently been killing young livestock and pets in the area. If there's enough of them in the pack, I doubt they'd think twice about trying their luck on a human being. Then the howling stopped. The last one we heard was probably 100 yards away. We looked at each other just as the howl went off in the tree above the tent. Only, and this is the part that freaks me out the most, whatever it was that fucking close, and we didn't even know it. Then it broke into an aggressive growl. I broke the zipper on my bag, scrambling for my AR. When I grabbed a hold of it, I looked at my buddy who was in the process of securing his own weapon, and his eyes looked like they were about to pop out of his head. We threw our backs up against the tent flap and started trying to wake our friend up while almost spinning our heads off, trying to see whatever there was to see. We finally got him to respond, and as soon as he asked what the hell was wrong, whatever it was burst from behind the tent through the brush and dead trees we were using for our fire. It ran up the little walking path up into the field. Now, to paint you a picture, that's where we had come from about 3 hours prior, back from a night hike across the property. Anyway, it started running away through the brush on 2 legs, and as soon as it hit the trail, dropped onto all 4s and turned its head back to look at us. So what did it look like? The front legs were clearly larger and longer than the back. It had short ears, gray fur, and it had a snout that reminded me of a Doberman. The firelight flickering really helped give me a good look at its teeth and eyes, and although it had a mouthful of crazy-ass werewolf-looking teeth, it was those eyes that got me. They were fucking huge, like the size of my fist, and they were hot yellow. I was like, shit, that's it. We grabbed our blankets and guns and slept at the house that night and went back to clean up the campsite the next morning. We couldn't find any prints, but our fire was scattered and had a large tree branch in it, like maybe that goddamn thing came back and beat the fire to put it out or something. I know my friend refuses to talk about it. Every time I bring it up, he just gets quiet and changes the subject. Now, as scary as it all was, I don't have nightmares or anything like that. But since then, I refuse to go into the woods or camping, fishing, anything without a gun.